So, good morning, Harmony FM. Welcome back to Harmony FM. I'm here today with myself, me and I. Myself, me and I.
Oh, I thought I said myself and my AI.
No.
I thought we were going back to that.
Myself and Jason Noon. We're in the, what do you call this studios for him.
It's used more as a studio than anything else, isn't it?
Yeah, we need extras.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, open the walls because it's a lot of what do you call it?
Reverb.
A lot of reverb.
You don't need egg cartons when you have good de-reverbing software like I do. But
yeah.
But yeah, sound quality is important. And
No, I don't. You use that
de-reverbing software. Does it not sound like I use it when you're watching back our recorded shows?
I don't watch back.
You don't watch your own work. Yeah.
I know because I'm doing it. So
yeah.
You know.
Okay, well then you can trust me that I use all sorts of amazing softwares to clean up our audio.
I want to look at that actually and see I'm going to solve this. Yeah.
Very good, yeah.
Anyway, yeah, like I said, welcome back. So what's new?
How are you after the long weekend and?
I took part in the Call parade, and that was really, it was a good crowd for it.
Okay, tell us all about that because I wasn't there first.
Okay, so we did up what would you call it, a float for the Paris Day parade. So what we had is we had all human rights on like what would you call it, a banner,
yeah,
big banner, and we had some of the lads here had black huts with their own rights up on the black huts, like right to house and right to equality.
Did people pick the ones that they thought applied to them particularly, or were they just all split up among everybody?
I think it was a bit more. I think people picked them because they like them. People picked them because it applied to them. I think it was a bit of more.
Did you have a placard?
No.
Okay.
I was meant to, but no, didn't.
Oh, what happened?
I was meant to have one that said accessibility on it.
Yeah.
The right to accessibility.
It's a long word to put on a placard, though.
They walked around there because they had like a flag with accessibility on it. Accessibility.
Very good.
So yeah, that would have walked, but look, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened there. I'm sorry, I just noticed. I'm actually speaking a lot more clearer. I don't know why. It's really peculiar.
It's very professional. You have to speak.
I never speak this clearly before. Never. Like all of a sudden, like speaking.
Interesting.
It's funny.
Good.
Maybe it's my deep breathing exercise.
Yeah. Were you doing that today, or just in general, or just in general?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Randomly happened.
Very good. Very good. Okay.
So, any news with you?
Not really. I mean, I went to the parade in Ennis.
How was that?
That was pretty good. You don't get to see much through the crowds, you know. But
well, that's a good complaint. That's a good complaint though, because the one was how would I say this without being in politically correct? This was crap. That's all I would say. It was
very, very diplomatic.
Yes. Yeah. When I actually was I saying that to you? I was saying that to someone else. I think I was saying that to someone else. I can be diplomatic when I need to be. And like, not offend, or that's not offending people, but not like acting like myself, if that makes sense. Not acting like my full self.
That's interesting. Okay.
Like my full self would F blind.
Yeah. I think everyone's a bit like that though. Everyone is slightly different depending on the context they're in and who they're talking to, aren't they?
Yeah, you know, I don't really agree with that though fully. I was thinking about this yesterday. And that's something I was thinking about. What is professionalism in a workplace, in a work appointment? I was thinking to myself, no one is actually their full selves in a workplace. If you think about it, you home specifically, me home specifically, we're two different people. We act slightly different to where we would act if we were in a place like this. And I can able and do the organizations. Now some mixed bags. I understand it, but I don't agree with it. Because, like, at the end of the day, when you, I know this is going to sound morbid, but when you pass away, like, what's, like, you're not going to just, be put on a fake smile, a fake accent, a fake everything when you come into a workplace. Like, I don't like doing it. Personally, I don't like doing it. I like to be me, be who I am, show my personality, show who I am.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly. Well, okay. Let me suggest something then, and see how this. How you respond.
Sorry, I agree. I don't agree, but I understand why it is the way it is. But I don't agree with it.
Okay, I have two responses. One is I think there's a difference between moderating how you behave in different contexts, and being inauthentic or fake. So I think you can be yourself in lots of different contexts. You're just being yourself differently in each context, but you're still being yourself. And that is not the same as being insincere or fake or performative.
Yeah, but that still takes away a slight bit of you. And then your personality doesn't come through fully when that's the case.
Well, that was the other thing I was going to suggest, which is, again, not to disagree too much, but that identity is not one thing anyway. The whole point of identity is that we are different people in different ways depending on who we are, who we're talking to, what our agenda is. And then, the circumstances impose restrictions on what we can and can't say, but that's not bad either. And again, I'm trying not to think of, you wouldn't want, there are certain situations where someone needs to be serious, so you kind of tamp down your sense of humor a little bit. But that's appropriate for the situation you're in,
Yeah. Well, like, I'm gonna come up with a question, and this is a question. It's not that I believe it and I don't believe it. It's just a question. Why should you have to do that? Like, what says that you have to, like, hide some of your identity from others? That's the wrong word.
Hiding is the one,
not identity, sorry, but the personality. From other people in a professional setting.
Well,
I don't believe that. It's a question. I'm just asking you.
Yeah. It's a thought experiment. Why should you have to? You see, I'm getting caught up in the. Well, I would counter that by saying, well, whatever you choose to do in that situation is still being done according to your personality and according to your identity. Okay. You know what I mean? So if you make if you are in a situation and you are choosing. Let's say the kind of seriousness versus sense of humor. Like if you're in a situation where being a bit more serious and a bit more diplomatic is important to the situation. If you still have the choice of, you know, playing the clown or being provocative or just speaking your mind because you don't care. And if you choose not to do that, it's still you choosing. It's still you. So there is still some aspect of your personality and your identity involved in the decision, you know, to recognize that, you know, certain things will be accepted and not be accepted in this situation, and that social norms and social conventions are negotiated. So when you're in the situation and it's a serious situation and everyone's been serious, it's because everybody agreed to be serious. Everybody agreed that the situation, you know, was serious. But that's not imposed. It's agreed. You know what I mean? Or ideally, it's agreed rather than imposed. You know.
But don't you feel like sometimes you're really forced to act a certain way in a certain place, and you know, if you act as you would if you were there, that wouldn't be appropriate, which I would see that as being wrong, because you are who you are, and I don't believe you should hide that. I mean, okay, be kind, be considerate, but just have a personality don't hide that up a bit just because of some guidance as a correct the way you are.
Yeah, I have to be blunt. I've never encountered a situation that rigid. You know what I mean? I've never encountered a situation where I couldn't kind of test the boundaries a little bit, or, you know, insert you know, some part of myself into the conversation, or so, you know, and you kind of test the waters with people and you see how they react, and again, we're back to it being a negotiation, and someone else might say or do something that you feel is kind of out of place, and your reaction kind of informs them as to what, I'm going to use a big word, what the intersubjective space is. Okay, what that means is just that when people are talking, there's this space between two people, and how you talk to each other determines the nature of the conversation. You know what I mean? So, and that's every conversation, and there's no kind of wall between you. You know, there's no set of rigid rules, but every interaction is a negotiation. It's a game almost, where you're kind of making up the rules together. And in some situations, those rules are very clear. There are certain things you can say and do in a church, we'll say, that, you know, are pretty clear, that and are pretty rigid. But no one's saying, you know, you have to go to church, and, you know, there's still an element of choice in any of those things, you know.
Okay, would it be fair to say the cousin shouldn't be allowed in the neighbour, or isn't allowed in the neighbour?
Cursing
isn't
allowed in the neighbour.
Yes.
I'd have to read my policies.
I'm sorry, just because if that's the case, then that would assume that everyone has the right not to how would I say? That would assume that everyone to complain to neighbour shouldn't cause. And if that's the case, then again, you are contradicting a person's personality by doing that, because like half of us Irish people, we do cause affection. It's a stress reliever. I think I heard that somewhere before. It releases stress when we cause in
certain contexts when done a certain way.
You know
That, you know what I mean?
what I'm trying to say is, if you not eliminate that, but if you limit that, or you then limit and put a limit on a person's personality and sense of humor. And if that's the case, and it's not right. It should be all have the right to express ourselves in different ways.
Yeah, but again, this is a very all or nothing way of talking about it. So again, I go back to the negotiation. If you're talking to someone and you swear, to whatever degree is natural for you, and that makes someone uncomfortable, and they tell you that it makes them uncomfortable, you still have the choice of how you react to that. And if someone feels uncomfortable about swearing for whatever reason, and you say, well, you're limiting my personality by telling me I can't swear, aren't you limiting their personality by telling them they can't tell you they don't like it? Do you see what I mean? So that's where the negotiation comes in.
But I would say that, and they also have the right to walk away if they don't like you swearing. They have the right to walk away.
And so do you if you don't like being told not to swear. Do you know what I mean? Like there's no default here. It is entirely like why is.
I think it's a coping mechanism. Somebody tells you not to do something. You feel like, what I do, I feel like my identity is being attacked when people say this to me. So, I don't think there's any clear-cut answer. Really don't.
No, yeah, I think that's exactly right. Yeah.
I do think people need to just look at other people and say, look, they are who they are. I am who I am. I don't like those, but I can move away.
Yeah, but then this is where maybe, not to put you on the spot, but the idea of feeling like your identity is challenged whenever you're expected to moderate how you behave according to the context. Like, why is that? That is something that could also be more flexible in terms of it's a kind thing to speak to someone the way they like to be spoken to, isn't it? And it still takes your personality and your communication skills and your empathy to be able to do that,
Yeah, how about if you were talking in context of journalism?
Yeah.
And better, just funny, witty, harmless humor.
Sure.
And you came up with a couple of swears, and they told you to stop, not speak like that in a certain place. The context of swearing comes into this one.
Absolutely, but also, that's someone's entire life experience. Someone who's grown up, maybe as you did, where your attitude to swearing is informed by all your life experiences, all your relationships, all someone else's attitude to swearing. It came about the same way, so someone who doesn't like it has a different definition of what it is than you do. So for you, it's either just a form of emphasis or just a natural way that Irish people speak, or it's, like you say, a way of releasing stress. But for someone else, it means something different to them, and that meaning matters, doesn't it? They have earned that meaning in the same way you've earned your meaning of it. It's
always funny because hit a really, really fun point, and I always told this, and this comes in human rights a lot, and this is a bit of a, what is called a 45, 31. It's like when you can't resolve something because it cannot be resolved. It's a conflict.
An impasse? Or
something like anyway, what I mean is, like, we all have rights, we all have the same rights, so a lot of times they contradict, not contradict, but they go against one another. So you say you have the right to get treated the way you want, but also I have the right to get treated the way I want.
And so whose rights are more important in that situation?
How do you come to compromise? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If one's rights are the same equally, how do you actually break it?
We're back to it. You negotiate. You communicate. You know. I'm gonna go to some comments here. Now I'm just because we're going to be posting this later. I won't read names, but so we have one comment that says, "Lads, talking about swearing, I used to get pulled up over using the Lord's name." You know, and that's very common in Ireland. And there's another one that says, "Bad language can be both offensive and upsetting to many people. It's always a good idea to be mindful of your audience and the context in which you're speaking. This helps ensure that your communication is respectful and considerate of others' feelings," which I think makes a lot of sense. And I wanted to add to that, which is, what is more important? Your message, the thing you want to say, the thing you want the other person to hear, or the format of the message, the way the message is conveyed? Is one more important than the other?
Okay, what is a little bit just what you want people to think? If an elderly person, it's the right company is elderly rather than an old person.
It's questionable. Senior, older person.
Anyway, whatever floats the boat. If an old person swears that, and all they know is that, but they're trying to be completely respectful, but still swear. You will see that a lot in Ireland.
You do, yeah.
Would you still send them, no, can't say this and this, it's offensive.
Again, it depend on the situation. I mean, if a child is there, I'm absolutely going to ask someone to stop swearing. You know, but at the same time, you bring in other factors. You think like, well, this, like I was saying earlier, this person has a certain relationship with swearing that I don't necessarily share.
The tradition.
Yeah, maybe, and maybe there is some, but maybe I have some kind of respectful relationship with them that means I tolerate that swearing, but that doesn't mean it's unlimited, and it does. You know what I mean? You factor in other things, and you know, you kind of make the best judgment you can about it. But again, we're back to the thing about the message versus the form of the message. I mean, if you're talking to someone and you know that swearing, for example, or even the tone of your voice, even if it's like loud or quiet, you know, if certain kinds of communication are difficult for them, you know, then the second you try to convey your message to them, all they hear is the stuff that is difficult for them to hear. So one swear word in it might just be so jarring for them that they don't hear what you're actually trying to say. And so you might think that's unfair, but at the same time, if you know that's a possibility, would you prioritize your message? Would you prioritize getting your message across, you know, effectively over being able to speak as off the cuff as you want, you know, without thinking about it? So we're back to
see, I'm at a crossroads and a bit of a demon and angel kind of thing, because I think like this. I speak the way I speak, and you know, I personally get offended myself
Yeah,
when anyone,
that was going to be my next point, yeah.
when anyone kind of so, kind of not attacks my identity, my personality, but kind of offends their position, their feelings, towards my attitude or my personality. I get really against the wall, back up against the wall. I think I have a good well, I like to see myself as a decent person. I don't like to see anyone done wrong by anyone.
Yeah.
But like, so why are you kind of getting paid off because I'm coming over with something you don't like? You look at the bigger picture of who I am, I suppose. But one aspect of it.
But that wasn't my question. That wasn't my question was knowing how that people have certain sensitivities in terms of communication. Let's even say beyond swearing, like in other ways as well. If your message is important enough, will you be conscious of that to be sure that the message gets across? Yeah, that's.
It was highly important to me. Definitely, I will tone it down and stop.
There we go. Speaking of it now, okay. So, excellent. Hi, Joanne. We have our guest. Come on in. Absolutely, yeah, and not to try and squeeze the last word into this conversation with you, but there is an old Chinese proverb that says there can be no honesty without tact. We talked about that one before.
You mentioned. I think you mentioned that before. And I think you mentioned what tact was.
Yeah, so that it's, honesty is important, but how you perform that honesty, how you communicate that honesty is also important. Do you know what I mean? Okay. And that's something you can get better at as well. It's something that can be something you do a specific way, so it's still part of your personality. It's still.
But I would take a step forward and I would say all of us, we're not honest. We're not honest. Yeah. We can't be.
No, okay. So then it's a question of when things go wrong, how do you course correct? Lots of people have different ways of thinking about that as well.
It's a good conversation.
Yeah. What did we start talking about? Okay, so we do have a guest, and I'm going to do my TV magic here.
TV magic.
Watch this. Here we go. We could have a better angle on you, Joanne, I suppose. There you are. I'm going to move the mic.
Joanne, how are you?
I'm doing really well, thank you.
Good. Any news for us?
Any news for you?
For us. All of us.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah, I'm heading off to Spain in about 6 weeks.
Oh, do you know what part?
Salou. For 4 nights.
Which is the southern coast of Spain.
Actually, sorry, you told us about this last week, I think, a couple of weeks ago. You told us about this, we were heading up to Salou.
Yeah, it's a really nice place now, yeah. But we're actually going twice this year because we're going for 4 days in April, we'll say. And then we're going for an entire week in September.
Week.
An entire week.
Lovely. That'd be nice to get away. I love the sun.
So then we'll be doing Harmony FM shows entirely in Spanish. You come back fluent.
Not so fast, Jason.
Española.
Not so fast.
Española.
Espanol. Yeah.
Not so fast.
Sí, señor.
Very good.
I'm not your señorita.
No, señor. So.
Oh, sorry. Even my Spanish is off now.
This is
my name will be Ricardo in Spanish. I think so, yeah, Ricardo. Well, in Italian as well. but they all come from the same kind of similar background. I think Latin, they all come from Latin kind of context.
Exactly. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. They're
yeah.
romance languages they call them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Funny enough, they all started out in one area at one stage. So the Mexicans, the Spanish, and the Italians started out in one area and then they spread out in many decades ago. Then they spread out into the world. And they became known as Mexicans, Spanish, and Italians.
Yeah, and languages themselves travels just from people using them. So, hundreds of thousands of years ago, people spoke multiple languages.
Oh, they did.
Because they were traveling so much and trading and all that stuff.
I mean, I'll tell you a good one now that my mother was born in England, but she could actually, at one stage, have an entire conversation with her teacher in French.
Oh, yeah, French.
And now she can't remember a word of it.
Yeah, French, to be honest, is a tough language to speak. You need to say everything public in French.
The accent is very important.
They don't like.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
They don't like. They're a bit like the Germans. They don't like you not speaking perfect in their language. The Germans are the first way. You need to say everything perfect in German. It's just the same French. French is the same. It's really annoying, to be honest.
If I brought Morgan in here now, that's my niece. If I brought her in here and she sat down here, she could talk to you in Spanish.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
To be honest, I like Spanish more than I like any other language. I think it's much, it rolls over the tongue, the language. I'd say this for everyone. When I find it anyway. And I find it easy. Well, some of the words in Spanish, they can sound English.
They do.
Like perfect, just perfecto.
Yeah.
Like, no.
And there are lots of, words from other languages in English that we use all the time.
Oh, there are, yeah. Definitely, yeah.
Do you want to hear my nerdy one?
Go on.
So we call we have the animal, the cow.
Yeah.
That's the English word.
Okay.
But we call the food we get from a cow beef.
Yeah.
Why is that? Why don't we just call it cow? So can you some cow for dinner? Beef is the French word for cow.
Never.
Yeah, and it's the same with sheep and mutton and these things. So we are using words from different languages all the time.
Are you being serious?
English. What about Irish? Do you think there are many Irish words in the English language that everybody who speaks English uses? What would you think?
I wouldn't think so.
Would you like to hear a few?
I would love to hear a few.
Well, banshee. People use the word banshee all the time.
Right.
Okay, I'm gonna find a good one because brogue is a shoe. People use that one. Smithereens.
Right.
Have you ever said something got
Smash the smithereens.
smashed to smithereens?
Yeah.
Smithereenie is an Irish word.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, Jesus.
So there we go. That's
That's amazing.
I mean, most of the ones here I'm seeing don't sound like anything I've ever used. Galore. If you say there was
That's I'll tell you. Galore.
something galore. We had fun. Oh, I can get that. There was. I don't know. What would we say? How would you use the word galore? There were books galore in the library.
Yeah.
So that means there's books everywhere. But that's an Irish word. So that's from galore, which means plenty.
Really?
Yeah. Hooligan. Surprisingly enough. That's an Irish word.
I know what a hooligan is.
Is it? And do you know where the word hooligan comes from?
No, actually.
It comes from the family name, the surname Houlihan.
Never.
Yeah.
Really?
You being serious?
So anytime you call someone a hooligan, you're insulting a hooligan.
I guess I won't be using that word again then.
You know what I
It's amazing. It's really amazing how words start out like, and then they end up with a different meaning.
Yeah.
So it's amazing. It really is.
Here's one that I didn't know. I knew a few of these already. Here's one that I didn't know.
Okay.
Phony.
Right.
The word phony.
Phony, yeah.
Fake. That's from an Irish word.
Is it?
From fáine, which means a ring, but like it's a fake ring, like the people were
Jesus.
tricked with, you know. So
So,
there's loads of them.
what does it mean then in the context? Now, I'm not being disrespectful to you, but may I use you for example?
You may.
What would it mean in the context if I called you a phony?
It would mean you thought I was fake or insincere, or that I didn't say things that I meant. Or,
Okay, you weren't genuine.
I pretended to be someone I wasn't. Yeah.
Okay.
Which is kind of what we were talking about. We were talking about.
I didn't mean to offend you or anything, but
Hey, look, I'm. Someone thinks I'm a phony. There's not much I can do about it.
no.
Okay. Here's a good one.
Okay.
Slogan.
Oh.
So we know what a slogan is.
Yeah.
We're talking about putting slogans on the St. Patrick's Day float. A slogan comes from the Irish word slua garum, which is a word for a battle cry when clans.
Oh.
I don't know how interesting this is for people on Teams, but I could read all of these and do
Oh, please, be here for the day.
It's like a double entendre. Because that's what a double entendre means. Does it?
Sláinte.
No. Like the words. The words you read now there.
Yes.
Have the different meanings.
They have a certain. They've entered the English language from the Irish language.
Yeah, but that wouldn't be considered as a double entendre.
Double entendre? No. But double entendre is a French word.
Just interest, what does double entendre mean?
It means a phrase or a statement that can have more than one meaning.
So what does double entendre mean in French then?
I think it means double meaning. I think entendre means meaning. I think. I did French in college. I should know this.
We do speak many languages.
English itself is a mishmash of lots of other languages.
We actually speak multiple languages without actually realising it.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm embarrassed because I should have known this. Entendre is the French verb for to hear. So double entendre means to hear something twice.
How do you not realise that?
I don't know, because I haven't. Because I went to university a very long time ago.
We're talking to English class today.
So languages are always, because people were always moving, languages were always changing and evolving. You and I had a conversation once about English and slang, where you thought like you didn't like slang in English.
English and slang?
Slang, like made up words.
I know what slang is.
Yeah, and this like. I'm even doing it because I said like there.
Well, not made up words specifically. Like, the word dope. Dope.
Yeah.
Like people use that now. That's dope.
Would dope be a slang?
Dope.
It's used in different ways, yeah.
Dope originally meant to be an eater or fool. But so, using dope as good kind of phrase isn't really.
Well, here's what I heard. Did you know that the word nice?
Yeah.
As in N-I-C-E?
N-I-C-E.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
To call someone nice was to call someone, originally to call someone silly.
What?
Really?
Yeah, to call, it was someone who is a bit of a fool and you don't think much of them, they're nice.
That's not very nice.
Yeah. That's what I mean about words.
No, but what I mean is that's not fair.
Exactly, but that's just it. That the word meant one thing and now it means something else.
I mean, if I say to you, Jason, you're really nice, it means you're...
Well, like hundreds of years ago would have meant you thought I was silly, but now it means something different. Yeah. And so lots of words kind of reverse their meanings. Like Michael Jackson had a song called Bad.
He did.
Bad doesn't mean bad, it means good. Or something like that.
Okay, now you're confusing me. Can we change the subject, please?
Some context.
And there was a plane, and for this context, I have to say I'm not causing, but the plane was named the Fucker, and in World War II, and I think the word fuck,
F-O-K-K-E-R,
fucker,
the designer.
God named this when we know today
Yeah.
from that plane. I think he got
I'm not sure about that.
No?
I'm not sure, but I think it existed.
I'll tell you a funny one about that word, fucker. We'd have
Am I going to have to bleep all this?
just there's a film called Meet the Fuckers.
Yeah.
And when I say Meet the Fuckers, when I was younger, my father said, oh, she said fucker.
Yeah.
No, because you'd think it was.
Oh yeah, exactly. I think that was that's very much the humour of that movie, isn't it? Okay, but we were talking about like how languages change, and
Definitely.
And Ricky said once that he thought like, well, Shakespearean English is like the kind of model for all English. But if you went back to Shakespeare's time, people wouldn't understand you and you wouldn't understand them because the language was so different.
Actually, I think that language was really intelligent. It sounds really intelligent and really poetic. Like Darwin, the words sound really nice and really
refined.
Yeah, refined. No.
Definitely.
I'm not sure that's how people spoke day to day. I think Shakespeare took a while to write all that.
I'm actually not quite sure now because I did listen to a little bit of Shakespeare in school, but I couldn't understand a word they were saying. The language.
Yeah, it's very dense.
I would love to learn the language.
I could understand the words, but I couldn't understand the context.
And again, because people's lives were so different back then.
Yeah.
Well, I think
different reference points.
if you hear it in poetry, it sounds so powerful. It really does. Even the way it's pronounced, like it's so powerful. It could be.
Well, going back to the AI thing that we've been talking about over the last couple of weeks, do you know that there's a chatbot that can chat to you as Shakespeare? And someone I know who taught Shakespeare in university as like a drama teacher, like would spend hours talking to Shakespeare and found it very enriching, you know.
Really?
Well,
so I don't know how you feel about that. I don't know whether you feel like that's.
What do you think?
Is it fair to the memory of Shakespeare, or is it a new opportunity to connect with?
I don't think so.
I suppose.
I think it's fair. I don't think it's unfair. I just think it's indifferent. I mean, anyone who knows Shakespeare's language can talk in Shakespeare's language. So what's the difference between AI and humans?
I suppose, if I may jump in here for a second, jump being the operative word, I suppose, if I may put a spin on this, I think that it's good in one way because it keeps Mr. Shakespeare alive, because I think that, see, I'm a big believer in history and keeping history alive. So I think that by talking in someone's language, you're keeping their memory alive, because he was a very famous writer. Am I correct?
Yes.
Playwriting
poet,
writing poet, yeah. So you're keeping his
memory.
You're not just keeping his memory going. You're continuing his work. You get me? I'm not trying to be rude or anything here, but I'm going to use the word preserve. You're preserving his memory. You're preserving his work. Do you know?
Yeah.
You're maintaining the legacy of Shakespeare. Doesn't mean I'm going to get up and do Michael Jackson's dance now just because he's dead, but if I could, I would, because it would be keeping his memory alive.
Okay. So do you think will you check out that chatbot? Do you think, and see how you?
I'm saying ChatGPT could do that now. So open source.
Yeah. I mean, maybe I'm getting some there. There's chatbots that like adopt a persona, rather than whereas ChatGPT will just give you
You,
the text
you
in
can
a Shakespearean style.
you can ask it to adopt it, sort of. You can do it. You can ask it to adopt Socrates and talk back to me as he would have in context of philosophy, and it pretty much did it.
Did he just ask you a lot of questions?
Yeah.
Because that's the Socratic method.
Yeah, it
Just
was
to
really,
answer every question.
It was really frustrating.
Did you learn anything from it?
So
No.
it's like hearing another American throw it back to you.
Interesting. Okay. So maybe it was getting the Socratic thing wrong, because the whole nature of the Socratic question is that it's supposed to make you think and it's supposed to teach you something.
Can I ask what you mean by Socratic?
So Socrates was a philosopher, a Greek philosopher.
Yep.
And whenever people would come and try and learn his ideas from him, he would never give them a straight answer. He'd always respond to their questions with another question. And that question was supposed to get them to think and come up with their own answer. And so it's used in a lot of different kinds of teaching and supervision.
But how do you think?
How
But how do you think?
how do you think he thought?
How do you think he thought?
How do you how do you think he thought? I didn't say I was any good at it. But there we go. That's the Socratic question.
Anyway.
Okay. So it might be time for us to start wrapping up. Any final thoughts? We covered a lot of ground today.
Did actually, yeah. I was actually quite intrigued by this session here. I don't know if any of it's going to stick with me, but
Well, this is why you can the links go up on the Facebook page, the
Oh, no,
Midwest
but
Adults Facebook
I
page.
usually have what they call a photographic memory.
Mm-hmm.
I can remember things, but this, I don't know if it's going to stay with me.
Well, there will be recording on the Facebook page, so you can watch back if you want.
Okay.
Have you ever watched back on shows that you've been on?
I haven't, because I'm not on Facebook.
Oh, okay. Well, there's a YouTube link. I can send you that as well. There's an unlisted link, so I can send you
Okay.
links to the shows that you've been on.
All right.
Very good. And we're working on making that more public so people can watch back.
Okay.
So anyone can watch back, but at the moment it's only for people who are taking part in the show
Cool.
directly. Okay, so there we go. Time for a sign off.
Okay.
Okay, that was a really educational and intelligent conversation from all of us. So this is me, Ricky Coonan, signing off.
Very good. And thanks, Joanne, for being here.
You're more than welcome.
And we'll see everyone next week.
And we'll see you again next week. Bye, guys.